There is nothing to writing. All you do is sit down at a typewriter and bleed. Ernest Hemingway. Writers, what's their deal anyway? See, this is my 12th known copy of this speech, and with every single one, I seem to change everything. I go from why I write to how I write to why and how I write. The only thing I seem able to keep constant is that I love writing. So I asked myself, why not just write about that? And it was by far the easiest to complete. If you were ever to ask a writer why they wrote, they would come up blank. Mind swirling with self-doubt, they would stutter, I write because it's what I do, And you will look at them with doubting eyes, waiting for them to elaborate. Their minds will flash back to just that morning, when even before the crack of dawn, they were up sipping on some coffee with just a pen and a notebook in hand, and they will ask themselves, why? One of the only rules about being a writer is that you have to read a lot. I mean, nearly every single successful writer out there has been quoted saying it. I'm talking about Jane Austen, Ray Bradbury, Stephen King, and pretty much everybody else. A writer, according to the dictionary, is someone who writes in a particular way or who has ever written something. If that is so, we are all writers, whether it is yet another essay or a 200 characters or less Twitter post. I want you to take a second and think about something you love doing. Think about something that you're always thinking about. It drives you crazy and you do it in public places, and when people look at you weirdly, you just shrug and continue anyways. That's how I feel about writing. And it's a beautiful thing. Passion bleeds into every aspect of one's life. Looking at these shoes, they will think I write because I am a lunatic. And like E.L. Doctorow said, writing is the socially acceptable form of schizophrenia. I recently read this book called Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, and it completely blew my mind. One of my favorite parts is when he talks about the great unknown, which is what we call where artists get their ideas from. And he quotes John Cleese and says, we don't know where we get our ideas from. What we do know is that we do not get them from our laptops. I love it so much because every single time someone would ask me about something that I have ever written, I would just blank up and look at them until they made themselves gone. It's funny, really. One of my favorite poems that I have ever written is called The Cage Bird Song. And I had no idea I got it from Maya Angelou's I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings until one of my friends came to me and told me about it. Some people will say there's a structured way to writing. First draft, second draft, final copy, and there you go, a perfectly packaged piece of writing for you. But it's not that easy. You can't just sit down and write yourself a second Gone with the Wind. I asked a few of my favorite spoken word artists and novelists how exactly they got started, and this is what I came up with. Once upon a time, there was a... Wait, this isn't a fairy tale story. In the world where the battle between good and evil came to a startling no, that sounds like the start of one of those really bad movie trailers. Okay. How about some dialogue? Loads of books start with dialogue. Hello? No. Hey, she said. No, exclaimed as he was shoved into a line guarded by demonic figures. Wait, is the main character a boy or a girl? She exclaimed as he was shoved. It. Let's keep them an it for now. Okay, I've got a few lines down. Now, all I need to do is continue. I'm getting kind of hungry, though. I should get something to eat. Eat. Food. Food! I know! What if, instead of normal characters, all my characters were food? Okay, so I could have the evil people be like the carbs and the sausage and the fries and yes, and all the good people could be, you know, the healthy things like lettuce and carrots and vegetables and yes. I do realize how ridiculous I sound right now. Once upon a time, writing, like sports, is an outlet for unnamed emotions. Athletes hit the gym when mad, writers hit the books. And that's what I'll do. I won't scream or shout, I won't cry or break a vase. I'll simply open up a new blank document. And maybe by the time I'm okay again, a new piece will have been written. I write because it's the only way to make you listen. I write because it's the only way to make you listen. I write because it's the only way to make you listen, and it's the only way for me to speak. I write because there are still children dying, and I don't think that's okay. Because I know goblins and mermaids are real, but you won't believe me until I put it in print. I write because there will always be a little boy whose face will lit up at the thought of reading. Because there are people who need an escape, and my words are their only way out. I write because every single character of every single book I have ever written has a tiny part of me. And I am pretty amazing. I write because when I do, I know I can say anything in the whole wide world, and someone somewhere out there will enjoy. And it doesn't matter if it's a fiction, a children's book, or a poem. When I write, I know I will be okay. Because once someone falls in love with the craft, they never fall out of love with it. And that makes it so much more addictive. Thank you.